my personal feeling is that there's a big difference between fantasy land and reality. Fantasy land is what we do. You're either writing something, writing a song, writing a book, doing a movie, doing a television show. That's fantasy.
Kurt Russell is best known for his early roles as a Disney child star, but there's more to his story. Like many in Hollywood, he's been outspoken against what he sees as the dangers of woke culture, which he believes is undermining our freedom. In this video, you'll hear Kurt share his thoughts on how the woke left often seems disconnected from reality. He's voiced strong opinions on topics like gay marriage and gun control, and when he speaks on these issues, it's usually to challenge people's reactions.
I was in a situation, we do what we call a dog and pony.
Right.
We're out doing the dog and pony selling a picture, and you get sometimes you get what you feel is slightly ambushed by somebody who's really got an agenda, and that's sort of, I think, that's my opinion of what happened to me.
Kurt Russell is clearly frustrated with the mindset behind woke culture. He's not afraid to stand up for his beliefs, even if it means going up against powerful organizations like Disney. In this video, you'll see Kurt take on what he calls woke bullies and get passionate about the debates. He's often pushed to his limits by questions that challenge his views, but no matter the situation, he doesn't hold back. One issue where Kurt is especially vocal is gun control. He's one of the most outspoken voices on this topic in Hollywood.
Gun control or something like that is going to change a terrorist point of view. I think you're like out of your mind. I think anybody is. I think it's absolutely insane. The problem we're having right now is that we don't have the concepts of how to turn it around and say, you may think you've got me worried about what you're going to do. Dude, you're about to find out what I'm.
Kurt Russell's strong stance on gun control, here's the core of his belief: mutually assured destruction. Kurt thinks the best approach to gun culture isn't restricting gun ownership, as many in the woke crowd suggest. Instead, he believes everyone should have the right to own guns, seeing it as a way to deter misuse. Kurt feels this is a cause worth fighting for, and if the government doesn't agree, well, that's nothing new to him.
Had for the Second Amendment, and that is that no government ever hasn't had to fight its own people, and its own people hasn't had to fight its own government. We had our Civil War.
Kurt argues that the Second Amendment, created by America's founders, gives people the right and power to defend themselves. For him, it's not just a right, it's a fundamental one that's deeply connected to the country's history and core values.
Hadn't been there, those people would not have had the opportunity to do what they considered was defending their life, their way, their style of living. So I agree with that. I think that's an important part of our...
Kurt believes it's really that simple. But what's even more interesting is that he's not alone in Hollywood. Many others share his views on issues like gun rights and standing up to woke culture.
You have to pretend that you think fat is beautiful. You have to pretend to be race obsessed. You have to pretend that you think Dylan Mulvaney is a woman and should be included in female spaces. We're being told that you have to lie repeatedly in order to survive in corporate culture.
Is it true that being woke means ignoring reality? Kurt thinks so. He feels that's exactly what it often feels like. Later in the video, you'll see how this mindset is creeping into Hollywood and influencing the films being made. Kurt even takes a swing at one of Hollywood's biggest players over this, but we'll get to that part soon. There are also other aspects of the woke movement that really frustrate Kurt, especially when it comes to how they push their views on gay marriage.
It's an issue that people aren't talking about with gay marriage. There's a lot of things that they beat around the bush with. My beef, I'm a libertarian, so my beef with advantages given to anybody because they happen to live together and have a ring and have had a ceremony.
7. Kurt struggles to understand why any group should get special privileges just because they're part of the woke community. While the debate over marriage rights is one issue, there's something else within the woke movement that really bothers Kurt, something that triggers him even more.
Want to defend themselves? Can't? No, not so you can't, just so the idiots can't get a hold of it. Do you really believe they're not going to? Are you serious about that? Are you seriously? What people that? Oh my God, you and I just
argue that stricter gun control will reduce the number of people wanting guns for the wrong reasons, which sounds reasonable at first. But Kurt sees it differently. He points out that gun control laws can actually stop innocent people from defending themselves against those who misuse guns, which he believes is both unfair and illogical. Kurt also makes another strong point. though he delivers it with a sarcastic, almost patronizing tone, which makes his argument even more powerful.
Understand that you think that you can control the behavior of people that are dead set on taking your way of life away from you. I think you can control that. No, and there's only one thing you can do with that, and say, no, dude, that's...
Step back for a moment. What exactly do gun control laws achieve? According to Kurt, criminals with bad intentions will always find a way to get guns, no matter what the law says. Meanwhile, law-abiding citizens are left defenseless. It's a tough argument to counter. And it gets even more interesting. Kurt isn't the only one in Hollywood with strong opinions on gun control. Musician Ted Nugent, in fact, has even stronger views on the matter.
Moral compass can be determined by how he references free men the right to defend themselves. The Second Amendment is so obvious to me, it's insane.
At least Kurt is being somewhat respectful by suggesting that the Second Amendment should be upheld. But Ted Nugent? He goes completely rogue on the issue, voicing his views in a much more aggressive and unfiltered way.
Your gender identity is so fluid that you can change it every hour if you want, and it's not fixed at all. And it's infinitely variable at your whim. Okay, I'm supposed to accept...
In simple terms, gun control really comes down to limiting people's rights. Both Ted and Kurt believe it's common sense that everyone should have the right to own a gun, seeing it as an important way to stay safe. They argue it's a basic human right. As for the woke left, they think those individuals are out of touch with reality and need a wake-up call. When it comes to wokeness, there's a growing debate about whether supporters are disconnected from the real world. There's also a lot of talk about how these ideas are being pushed on everyone, whether they agree or not. This is a hot topic, not just in Hollywood, but everywhere. And speaking of wokeness, we can't discuss this without mentioning Jordan Peterson. He has strong opinions on the subject, especially when it comes to gender equality, adding another layer to this ongoing conversation.
I mean, it was just such a slap in the face. I thought, fuck you, buddy. I'm going to take you on full force, full frontal nudity. Let's...
Being as bold and outspoken as Kurt comes with its challenges. His strong voice and passionate beliefs have made him a target, especially from the woke side of Hollywood. One issue that sparked controversy was his stance on government benefits for gay couples simply because they want to be together. Actor Mark Ruffalo publicly criticized Kurt for opposing marriage equality, though how that makes sense is anyone's guess. But Kurt didn't back down from the backlash. He stood firm in his beliefs and refused to let the criticism silence him.
Gun control or something like that is going to change a terrorist point of view. I think you're, like, out of your mind. I think anybody is. I think it's absolutely insane.
Kurt wasn't about to back down from the criticism. His response was bold. "You can't silence me." He's not just vocal in interviews and talk shows. He's known for standing his ground even on set. Kurt refuses to let woke agendas interfere with the integrity of his scripts or the characters he plays. He's made it clear that if a story or character doesn't align with his values, he won't be part of it. In August 2024, rumors started circulating that Kurt had cut ties with the Walt Disney Company over its woke agenda. He allegedly said he was sick and tired of the culture and felt he had wasted his career with them. He even went as far as to claim Hollywood was in serious trouble if it didn't make some changes. While these rumors caused a stir, there's no concrete evidence to back them up. As for his stance on gun control, Kurt believes it doesn't solve anything. He points out that criminals who ignore the law continue to harm innocent people without fear, knowing their victims are defenseless. He argues that gun control only stops law-abiding citizens from protecting themselves. And if you don't agree with him, Kurt would challenge you to find a better solution.